What is going on, guys? Welcome to another video of the C programming tutorial. Today we will cover the basic structure of a C program. A C program follows the structure here on the picture, where anything that starts with an hash, every single line of code that starts with an hash and it's before the main method, is called preprocessor code. Okay. In this case, we are including a C library, which is stdio, which is used to print messages to the screen. Okay, and after the preprocessor code, what we have is the main function, and this is a function that is the first function that will be executed. It's our starting point whenever we execute our program. We will cover functions in more detail in future videos. Don't worry about this now. Then inside of the function, inside of the main function, we have our code instructions. In this case, we have our printf instruction, which is an instruction that prints a message to the screen, and we have our return statement. Another important concept is the concept of code blocks, and code block is something that is usually between curly braces. So in this case, the printf and the return 0 is a code block, which is the main function code block. Okay, and usually whenever we have a code block, we make it a tab further than the previous part of the code. So in this case, int main is on the root, we can call it like that. It's on the root of the file, so it doesn't have any tab. But the two instructions that are between the square, the green square, are part of the main code block. So since they are inside of the main, we make a tab to show this clearly that they are inside and they are their own part of the main code block. So now let's put this into practice and let's create a project first in XCode and then on Visual Studio and do a program similar to the one that we have on the screen right now. So here we are on macOS. So let's open XCode from the bar. So it launched. You can also launch it from the Spotlight by hitting Command Space and typing Xcode, and it should pop up for you. Okay, once we open it, let's click on this option that says create a new Xcode project. And on the next screen, we need to select the macOS tab. For me, it's already pre-selected, and command line tool. Let's click on next. Let's give this a name, the project a name. So let's call it my first program. And organization name, on the organization identifier, you can give it whatever name you want to. And on language, make sure you have C selected and not C++, neither Swift or Objective-C. So let's select C. Click on next. And it's asking us for a place to create our to store our project. For me, I'm going to store it on the desktop, and let's create a new folder called my first program. Hit create, and it creates the project for us. Okay, so let's make this screen a little bigger. Once the project is created, you will notice that on the navigation window, you will have a C file, my main.c file. So let's open this file by double clicking. Okay, we can get rid of this part over here, and you see that Xcode automatically generates kind of the program that we have on the screen. Okay, so this is a comment. So this is code that is not executed. It starts with two slashes. Whenever you see something like this, this is some annotation that we can create for our reference. Like we can say this will print a message into the screen, and by this I mean below instruction will print a message into the screen. Okay, and this part here, arguments are only important when we run our application from the terminal, so we will not use them, so we can remove them. And by doing so, you will have a similar structure to the one that we had previously on the presentation. So just to finalize, we can execute our code by pressing this button over here with the play icon. If we press play, we should see after some time hello world printed on the screen. Okay, so if we want to change the message that we want to print, we can say this is my first C program, and if we run it, now it should run faster. We see here, this is my first C program. Okay, you can ignore this line here, it will always print this line, you can ignore it. Just out of curiosity, if we remove this, this slash n, let's see what happens. If you notice, now we only have one line. Whenever the message that I printed ends, the other line is showing. So that means that this backward slash n does is to create a new line for us. Just out of curiosity, we'll see it later in more detail. So if we run it again, there we go. Again, one line with just our message and then the standard message, because after we print it, we are introducing a new line. So that's that for macOS. Now on Windows, let's click the Start menu and let's type Visual, and we have the first option here, Visual Studio 2019. Let's open it. And from this page, we can create a new project. If we click it, it will show you some options, and in here, different than on XCode, you have to select the C++ option. We don't have an option for C, so we will use C++, but we can still code in C even if we select C++. So let's select empty project, click on next. We will give our project a name. I'll call it my first C program, and after that you can select the location where you want to store it. I'm going to store mine on the desktop and create a new folder for it, which I'll call my first C program, and select folder, and there we go. So now if we click on create, this should create the project for us. And in future videos we will be using Visual Studio. Okay, but most likely I will not cover again how to create projects, so whenever you have doubts you can come back to this video and see how you can create it. So our project is created, and since we selected empty project, we don't have a C or a CPP file like we had on the XCode. So what we will do is we will click on source files, add new item, and by click I mean the right click, and we will select C++ file, which will create a CPP file for us. We will give it a name. We will call it main.cpp, and we will click on add, and this will add a file for us, and I think it will open automatically. Yeah, so there we go. The file is opened, and we can start typing code on our file. So let's do the same program that we did on the macOS. So let's use the preprocessor directive to include a library. So include, and the library name is stdio.h, which is the library that allows us to type into the screen. Okay, and now we have our library. So let's start our main function. So int main, we open and close brackets, parentheses, sorry. We start the code block by inserting the curly bracket, and we have our main function created. Okay, now we will print a message to the screen, so print f, and between quotes we will type our message, and our message will be hello world. And similarly we will insert a new line. After that we need to return 0, and we will discuss why we need to return something in more detail in future. Let's save and let's execute our code by pressing this button here, and the play button, which will run our program in debugger mode, but that's okay. And we will see the console, and we see our message printed with some extra information that we don't need to worry about. But our message is printed here on top, so that means that our program executed successfully. Okay, and I forgot to mention, if you notice, every single line in C must end with a semicolon except for the code blocks. So after this curly bracket, you don't have to put the semicolon, and also for the preprocessor instructions you don't need to put a semicolon either. So that's that on Windows. So that's it. Thank you for watching. I hope you liked the video, and if you have some question or any suggestion that you want to make on how we can improve these courses, and any doubt, feel free to leave a comment and I'll try to answer as soon as possible. And if you like the content you want to keep watching, don't forget to subscribe to be notified whenever there is a new video released. So thank you for watching. I see you in the next one.